Greetings, Cyberdogs and citizens of the Interbubs! This is the dog, the donkey, and the wolf coming at you from a gloriously snow-tipped mountain biome in this Let's Play Minecraft Survival series. Oh my goodness, man. Maximus putting his back into that intro. How's everybody doing today, man? I hope you guys are having a great day. I hope you are in the mood for some Minecraft survival. I've been playing all morning long, guys. Been having a great time and very happy to bring you on board for today's episode. Last time we were together, we were exploring most of the area on this map that you see in my offhand over here. And I promised you that we'd come and explore the northwesterly part of the map. And well, Maximus, Jock, and myself, we've been doing a little bit of exploring out here. There's not much to report, unfortunately, other than this very beautiful looking thing over here, this mountain lake, I guess. The good news is, I suppose, that this to me looks like some sort of a mountain biome that could contain emeralds in it, and we could come and do some serious emerald minage out here at some point, so that we can use those emeralds to trade with villagers. There's not that much else around here other than a bunch of lava spewing out the side of the mountain, and there's a couple of interesting looking caves and stuff, but there is actually something that I did discover to the westerly side of the map, which I'd like to go and get my paws on right now, something that I'd like to use back at the Moleshire. And yeah, the moment I saw it, I suddenly had visions in my mind of using this particular thing. And I'm not going to tell you what it is, okay? It's called suspense. You're going to have to wait and see. Now, in today's episode, guys, oh man, I'm such an idiot. In today's episode, guys, we are going to be working a little bit more on the wall that we started working on in the previous episode. By the way, there's a massive dark oak wood forest here too, which I think is really, really sweet. We might be able to run all the way along the top of this thing, actually. Go along the canopy of this forest to get to the place that I'd like to get to. I can't quite remember where it is. Oh, there's some burnination going on over there. Maybe we should stop that. We don't want to lose this forest. Maximus, we are on fire protection duty right now. Let's go and deal with this fire because we don't want to lose this forest. That is what I'm after right there. Those giant freaking mushrooms. We don't want to lose them. And this forest fire is spreading pretty oh my goodness. It is spreading really, really quickly. Maximus, you need to chill in the water over here, my dude. This is not a safe place for donkeys. Jock, my dude, you also just need to chill here, okay? Please don't die in the fire or the lava. Okay, this is bad, guys. This is really, really bad. I don't like seeing forest fires in my world, especially when it is in such a massive forest that could just catch fire like nobody's business. All right, let's try and put all of this fire out if we can, or at least kill as many of these fire sources as possible. I guess we can leave these because we just need to make sure the fire doesn't spread into the forest over here. Oh my goodness, Fireman ReNDoG to the rescue. Let's save all the freaking squirrels and stuff that live in here. Oh wait, there's no squirrels in Minecraft. I guess we can just pretend that there's some animals that live here in this forest, right? Let's try kill all of this fire over here. Oh my goodness. Well, I didn't really expect this happening in today's episode, my friends. But that is Minecraft for you, right? Always a surprise around every corner. But yeah, in today's episode, guys, I want to continue work on the wall that we started last time. I got a little bit of a story to tell you too. I was in the bath last night thinking about today's episode, and a little story came to my mind that the wall has reminded me of. So it's going to be a pretty fun episode. We're just going to be hanging out, building a wall, trying to wall off the Moleshire a little bit. And I also want to talk a little bit more about the wall itself. I saw a couple of you guys in the comments of the last episode saying that perhaps a big wall like the one that we are making is not quite something that the gobbets would build. And I'd like to argue that it is exactly what the gobbets would build. A lot of you guys have been saying that if we are sort of shaping our world based on the Shire in The Lord of the Rings, then of course the hobbits wouldn't have built such a massive wall. But of course, the hobbits don't have hordes of undead invading their freaking lands every single night, right? The gobbets, unfortunately, have it much harder than the hobbits from Lord of the Rings, and I think that they deserve a little bit of a bigger wall, so to speak. Some of you guys were suggesting that maybe we should make a much smaller wall, you know, just like a little rock fence or something, or even a wooden fence or something like that, right? And while I do agree to some extent, I kind of want to make a nice wall around the Moleshire to sort of wall it off. I'd also like to start today, if we've got enough time, getting rid of all of the trees at the very top of the molehole so that we can see exactly how much space we are working with in our world. So yeah, lots of stuff to do today. Is that the fire contained? We did it, Jock! Well, I did it. You didn't do anything. Yep, forest fire has been contained. Nice. Maximus is just chilling over there. That's good. All right, Maximus, you just need to chill there a little bit longer, okay? There's a skelebutt to deal with over here. Hi, skeleton. You think I don't smell you, my dude? You haven't showered in centuries. I mean, let's face it. All your flesh rotted off your body. I mean, if I could smell you from a kilometer away, my dude, damn. Anyway, this was what I was after over here, guys. This beautiful mushroom that grows inside of these dark oakwood forests. And, well, luckily, we have got a silk touch pickaxe on us called Terra, and that means we can actually collect these mushroom blocks. And what I'd like to do is to replant this mushroom somewhere in the Moleshire. I think it's going to look really, really cool. And I got a really cool plan for this particular mushroom too, that I think you guys are going to like a lot. A little trick that I learned from a server I used to play on called Kingdom Craft, a little trick shown to me by my very good friend Iscal85, and it's gonna be freaking awesome, man. So I'll tell you what, let me collect these two mushrooms, get myself, the donkey, and the wolf back to the Moleshire in one piece, and then we can start doing a little bit of crafting up in this business. As a quick addendum to the intro segment, guys, I've actually just discovered something rather interesting in Minecraft that I didn't actually know. Take a look at this, man. We cannot actually pick up the stems of these mushrooms using Silk Touch. When we break the stem, it actually turns into a red mushroom piece. So we're going to have to find another material to simulate the stem of this mushroom if we're going to replant it back at the Moleshire. That's kind of interesting. I'm thinking maybe nether quartz? You know what, Cyberdogs? Making this Fortune 3 pickaxe is one of the smartest decisions that we could have made early on in this series. Oh my goodness. I've just got back from a trip to the nether to get myself some nether quartz. Managed to get myself almost 2 stacks of this jazz, a whole bunch of XP, and I managed to repair Terra by holding Terra in my offhand while the Fortune 3 pickaxe did its business, collecting us the quartz and the XP. And that's actually really awesome. I now finally have enough levels to actually name this pickaxe. I know some of you have been shouting at me in the comments, Ren, you haven't named the pickaxe yet. What are you doing? I said I would name it like 3 episodes ago. So guys, let's name our pickaxe, shall we? This is our Fortune 3 pickaxe that's going to be joining Terra as a part of our tool ensemble. And I got a really cool name for this pickaxe sent to me on Twitter by one of you guys out there. And we're going to call this pickaxe Foreman, which is, you know, a fairly common surname, but what's cool about calling it Foreman is that together we're gonna have Terraforming, which is kind of like terraforming without the ing and doesn't really make that much sense, but there you go, Terraforming. We now have the name for our second pickaxe. Can everybody please stop shouting at me? Thank you. There we go. Nice. 32 levels spent on naming this pickaxe. Wow, that is some expensive jazz. Anyway, I now have the nether quartz in the belly, and I want to try something out here with these mushrooms that we've just collected. I've been storing them in Maximus's butt over here. Let's just get them out of here, and I want to show you guys exactly what I'm thinking with using this mushroom. And why I've got nether quartz over here is because I think I explained in a mini segment that you can't actually collect the stems of the mushrooms. But I think that nether quartz, or blocks of nether quartz anyway, is going to be a very good substitute for the stem of a mushroom. Look at that. Yeah, that definitely looks a little bit like a mushroom stem, if you use your imagination, right? Now, the reason that I wanted to plant a mushroom up in this business is because I think it's going to add something really, really nice to our world over here. Also, we can get rid of all of the sugarcane now. We are generating sugarcane in the mole hole, and this fully grown sugarcane kind of looks a little bit ugly to me. Don't really like seeing it here. So let's get rid of all of that nonsense. Do I have any bone meal around here? I don't think so. Anyway, our pond has been restored to its former glory. Okay, so ever since I saw those beautiful big red mushrooms in that dark oakwood forest, guys, I've had this vision of seeing one of those mushrooms somewhere near Granny Dog's path, somewhere behind there in the background of the scene over here, right? And I think adding a little bit of red or a little bit of a different color in here is going to add a little bit more mystery into this area. It's going to make it feel a little bit more gobbety, if you know what I'm saying. So I want to try something out with you over here, but we're going to need another material, which I currently don't have in my inventory, and hopefully I do have some of this inventory in stock, or some of this item in stock anyway. Let's just have a look. I should have some stored somewhere around here. I think I might not have, and I might have to go on another trip to the Nether, which is going to be unfortunate. Where is my glowstone? Jock, have you been eating glowstone, my dude? I've told you to stay away from that stuff, man. I know it looks a little bit like a lozenge or something, but it's kind of dangerous for dog stomachs, okay? Oh my goodness, I don't actually have any glowstone. Where is my freaking glowstone, man? Where there's a will, there's a way, Cyberdogs, and I am not in the mood to go back to the Nether. It's pretty scary down there. Instead, I'm going to steal some glowstone from our sugarcane farms over here. I've been told by more than one of you guys out there that glowstone doesn't increase the speed of sugarcane growth. In fact, a redstone lamp is going to increase the speed of sugarcane growth just as fast as glowstone. And when we first set up these farms, the redstone lamp looks so much better, right? So I'm going to steal a little bit of glowstone back from the sugarcane farm. And don't worry, guys, there is actually a reason for all of this. You're going to see it in a second. There is method to the ReNDoG madness over here. I need glowstone because we're going to make the ultimate mushroom in the Moleshire. It is going to be glorious. Let's get ourselves out here into the open. Where's the sun right now? Been derping around quite a lot this morning in this episode. But this is a spot where I would like to create a little bit of mushroom action, right? I want to regrow that mushroom that we saw over there in the dark oakwood forest. And let's start using these nether court bricks or nether court blocks or whatever they're called to start setting up the stem of this mushroom. And I don't, it's going to be a bit of a squeeze, I think. I think we're probably going to have to do it in this position. But what I would like to do is create a mushroom that is actually glowing at night, right? I want the inside of the mushroom to actually be glowing. And now that I look at this nether quartz, I'm not mad about it as a stem for the mushroom. There might be a better block than this. Maybe a block of bone might be better than this. I'll try that in a second. But the sun is going down, so I don't have much time to get this mushroom set up. But let me show you guys exactly what I'm thinking, right? I want to stick a little bit of glowstone in the very center of the shroom. Let's just go one more level up, I think. And then what we'll do is we'll build the canopy of this mushroom again, right? And we're going to make the canopy sort of go over and around the glowstone, just like the mushroom is designed or naturally spawned in that dark oakwood forest. And the idea is that when we see this mushroom from the Granny Dog's path over there, the inside of the mushroom is going to be glowing, and it's going to look like some sort of magical enchanted mushroom of awesomeness. That's the plan anyway. And yeah, this is not working for me. We're going to have to figure something out for that, aren't we? Oh yes, that shroomage is looking jazz-tastic, baby. Oh man, that is such a nice location for that mushroom, isn't it? Just at the back of the path, sort of in the background of the scene, not in your face, so to speak, although it is quite red at the moment, but I really like it. I think that's a great position for it. The only problem with this mushroom at the moment is that it has a very weird looking stem, but we're going to solve that issue in a second. I've also shaped it a little bit more so that it looks a little less square and a little bit more mushroomy. Now, let's figure out a way to solve the problem of that very unnatural looking stem of that mushroom. We've got a lot of bones, of course, because we have got a skeleton farm, and that means we can make something called a bone block, which looks a little bit like this. And I think this bone block is going to look really, really nice with this this mushroom over here. Let's replace the quartz with the bone block, and let's have a look what that's going to look like. Oh yeah, look at that. The pixels actually follow each other in a vertical line, so that really, really helps. Look at that. That looks absolutely perfect. That looks exactly like a mushroom stem. Oh, I love it. As the sun sets, you can also start seeing a little bit of the glow of the shroom down here, right? And I want to do a little bit more work at the base of the mushroom here. Obviously, this mushroom is covering this grass, there shouldn't be so much growth of grass around here, right? So why don't we just get a couple of these beautiful blue flowers that we found last time, the blue orchids, and maybe we can do some path blocking around here too. Just suggesting that the soil underneath the mushroom has sort of decayed a little bit, right? Maybe the mushroom's been dropping some of its weird juices onto the grass, and that's kind of damaged the growth of the grass, so to speak. And maybe we want to do a little bit of growing around here too. Just make it look nice and natural out here where this mushroom is. And as you guys can see, man, look at that glow. I'm going to let the sun set, even though it's dangerous, but I want you guys to see the glow of the mushroom. That looks absolutely beautiful, doesn't it? Let's try get another vantage point of the mushroom, maybe from up here. Yeah, look at that. You can see the sort of glowing area around it. Oh, that looks so sweet. I kind of want to do even more terraforming, or at least pathificating, if that is a word, around the mushroom area. Get rid of these horrible poppies and dandelions and stuff, and maybe just add a little bit more of this coarse dirt in there, or a little bit of this path block anyway. Just implying that the magic of this mushroom has sort of affected the growth of the of the foliage around it, right? Let's have a look at that. Oh, doesn't that look beautiful, guys? I absolutely love that, man. Okay, mushroom quest has been completed, guys. Excellent. So many things going on in today's episode. You know what, guys? I'm starting to realize something about this series. We've got a lot of projects open at the moment, don't we? Man, there are so many projects around the Moleshire right now that I'm kind of losing track of them a little bit. I need a little bit of help from you guys today. I don't know if there's anybody out there that wants to help me out, but I'd love to see a list of all of the projects that we've currently got open in this series in the comments of this video, just so that I can start keeping a track of what we need to be working on over the next 50 episodes or so. And maybe what we should do is set up a little quest board or something somewhere, right? An area that we can keep track of everything that we're supposed to be doing around here, because the ReNDoG brain can't keep up with all of this awesomeness. Speaking of awesomeness, guys, last episode we picked up a bunch of these vines from that swamp biome, and before I forget, I want to make a little bit of a vine farm here in the molehole, and that's all that it is required to make a vine farm. I'm going to plant these vines over here on the wall, and these are slowly going to grow, and as they grow, we can come and harvest them with some shears and collect a bunch of these vines to be used all across the Moleshire. It's going to take a bit of a while for the vines to grow, though, so let's leave those bad boys there to do their business, and let's start working on what we started last time, which was the beautiful wall that is going to be surrounding the Moleshire. You know something, guys? One of the things I love most about play in Minecraft, and more specifically about creating this Minecraft survival series with you guys, is that these videos kind of act like a USB stick for my childhood memories. Does that make any sense at all? I don't know, it sounds kind of weird, but over the course of the last 6 years on YouTube, I've created almost 500 episodes of Minecraft Survival, including this series and my previous Minecraft Survival series that I started in 2012. And as you guys know, over the course of those videos, I've been telling loads and loads of different stories from my childhood, and you guys have been enjoying them, and I've been really enjoying telling those stories, not only because I get to sort of relive them for a moment in time, but because I get to store them in some very weird way in these videos. And one day when I'm an old, grumpy, ren-diggity dog sitting on my porch waving my fist at those wretched kids making noise on the road, I'll be able to load up YouTube one day and watch these videos again and sort of relive some of the memories from my childhood. You know, as we get older, our memories start to fade a little bit, don't they? And all of those cool things that happened to us when we were kids, we sort of lose track of them, and maybe the memories sort of fade a little bit. And I don't know, this has just been such a great process for me to be able to store those memories for myself, of course, and for you guys to enjoy out there. And while I'm working on this wall, I want to tell you guys a little bit of a story that was inspired by this project that we started last episode. And I had this memory when I was lying in the bath, which basically happens most of the time. Whenever I have a bath, I'm always thinking about this series. I'm always thinking about freaking Minecraft and thinking about things that happened to me when I was a kid, stories that I can tell you guys in the series. And I have a very specific memory related to walls that I wanted to tell you guys about. And let's just sleep the night away very quickly. I'm trying to make this wall kind of go down a little bit here, following the contour of this land. Looking a little bit weird because there's a tree in the way there. I'm probably going to have to get rid of that tree. But let's just sleep this night away just so that we're safe. But yeah, building this wall project anyway, it's kind of inspired a memory that I had when I was about 8 years old. And when I was about 8 or so, or 8 or 9 years old, I guess, I moved from a city called Bloemfontein, where I was born, to a brand new city in South Africa called Johannesburg. And I moved out there with my mum and my dad and my brother, and we went out there to start a brand new life in the big city. Bloemfontein, the town that I was born in, is a pretty big city, but it's not a massive, massive city. Johannesburg is kind of like, I guess, the New York of South Africa, I suppose. And my mum and my dad wanted to move out there to Johannesburg to start a new life out there after my father passed away when I was young, and my mum met my new dad, and we all decided that we were going to move out to Johannesburg. And when we first moved out to Johannesburg, we stayed with my grandparents for a little while, and then my mum got herself a small apartment where we stayed in for a bit too. And after a year or two, I guess, I can't remember how long it actually was, you know, it was so freaking long ago, man. But I guess it was probably after a couple of years or so, my mum and my dad decided that they were going to buy themselves a new house in Johannesburg, and this would become our brand new family home for our brand new family, so to speak. And I still very distinctly remember the very first time we went out to see that house, and it was an absolutely stunning, beautiful house. It was a thatched roof house in the suburbs of Johannesburg, really nice big house with a big garden at the back and a huge piece of land in the very front of the house. I think that the house that my parents bought was actually a double plot house. So it was two plots that they purchased, but one of the plots had the house on it, and the other plot was literally just a huge piece of open land. And on this piece of open land was overgrown felt. The previous owners hadn't really looked after it very well, and it was sort of overgrown, and there was some trees and bushes and whatnot growing there, but it wasn't exactly looked after, should I say. It was kind of a wild piece of earth. And I still remember very distinctly when we first went to see that house, what I remember most about seeing the house for the first time is that piece of land. That is what excited me. Of course, my parents were probably really excited about the house itself because it was really cool. It was really big. It was going to be perfect for our family. And it was a little bit sort of old school, I guess. It needed a little bit of updating. It was kind of stuck in the 80s. And I think my parents were thinking that they could do a lot of really cool stuff to the house, and they were imagining what they could do to bring the house into a more modern era for our brand new family. But my brother and I were thinking about this plot of land. My brother is 2 years younger than me, and we're very close, and we spent a lot of our childhood together. Especially after my father died, we became very, very close. And, you know, I was the older brother, so I was sort of looking after my younger brother during that period. And whenever I got excited about something, I always made sure to include my brother. And when we were checking out the house for the very first time, my brother and I went and spent a little bit of time looking around that piece of land. And it was massive. I mean, I guess it's probably not as massive as I remember because we were children, right? And everything's a little bit bigger when you're a kid. But I guess it was probably the size of half a football field, I would say. Maybe a little less than that, maybe a quarter of a football field, but it was a nice big piece of land. And after my parents purchased the house and we eventually moved in, I guess they purchased the piece of land with a plan to do something with it. But as it was rather a large piece of land, it sort of got neglected when we first started moving in, and my parents focused their energies on, you know, working on the house itself and getting the house modernized and getting everything set up to be, you know, really, really cool, and redoing the bathrooms and the kitchens and all of that sort of jazz. But that little piece of land sort of got left to itself, just hanging out there, and it is a piece of land that my brother and I started to spend a lot of time on. We would spend a lot of time playing there. We used to go and play football there, kick balls around. We used to play stick golf, which was a game that we invented together. Stick golf is kind of a cool game. Basically, you hit a small stick with the big stick, and the small stick is the golf ball, and the big stick is the golf club. And yeah, we used to play stick golf on that piece of land. We used to play all manners of games out there, and it was really cool. But I guess it was a little bit of a while later, maybe a year or so later after we moved in, that my parents decided that they no longer wanted to take care of this piece of land. Perhaps it was too expensive for them to look after, I guess, because it was such a big piece of land. You know, it was quite a lot of upkeep involved in that piece of land. They had to get people in to cut the lawns and sort of try and make it look less wild, make it look less like a dilapidated piece of land, and make it look more like a garden, I suppose. But yeah, it was kind of a mission, I suppose, for my parents to look after. And one day, my brother and I were playing there on that piece of land, and a whole bunch of builders arrived out of nowhere. And they started working on a wall that would separate the main house from that piece of land. And my parents would eventually sell that piece of land to other people who would build their own house there and would move in and become our neighbors, so to speak. But I still remember very clearly what it felt like when that wall started being built between the house and the piece of land that my brother and I had spent so much time on. And I remember feeling very, very angry at the builders that they had come to take this piece of land away from my brother and I. And of course, I had no anger towards my parents, because at the time I didn't think it was their fault, right, for getting rid of the piece of land. I didn't really know what was happening, and over the course of a few weeks, I guess that wall slowly built itself up, and before I knew it, I wasn't allowed to go on that piece of land anymore. And before I knew it, a few years later, I guess, a house had popped up there and new neighbors had moved in, and that piece of land was now gone, and my brother and I could no longer play there, and in its place was a beautifully built brand new house where my neighbors would eventually move in and live there. And the very interesting thing about that is that the neighbors that moved in next door would eventually become quite a big part of my brother and I's life. My neighbors actually had a boy and a girl. They had a son and a daughter, and the son of my neighbors would eventually become one of my little brother's best friends, and the daughter of my neighbors would eventually become the girlfriend of my best friend at university. And they would in fact date each other for a very, very long time, and she became a very big part of my life too. So it was kind of interesting how everything turned out in the end, because when the neighbors moved in, you know, I was kind of angry that I'd lost my beautiful piece of land to play on, so I never really spoke to them, you know. My anger at losing the piece of land, I guess, was taken out on my neighbor's kids, and I refused to speak to them and refused to be friends with them. But actually, it would turn out a little bit later on in life that we would become really good friends and actually get really close to each other. So it's kind of weird sometimes how life turns out that way, right? Oh man, I do love going into autopilot in Minecraft, guys. Do you guys do this too when you're playing Minecraft? I don't know, maybe you're listening to music or watching YouTube videos and you just start building, placing down some blocks, and before you know it, something has been created and you can't even remember what you were doing. Anyway, what do we feel about this wall? I think it's looking pretty cool. Been trying to follow the contours of the land here. I don't want to make the wall all the same level. I think it's a lot more interesting when it goes down like this. And I don't know, what do you guys think about this? I've added a couple of different logs in here too, which I think looks kind of interesting. And we got to work a lot on the ground around the wall, of course, to make it look as beautiful as that section. And I need to get the platform on top and all of the other jazz on here too, to complete this wall design. But I think that's probably all the time I have for today's episode. I think I'll probably do a bit more of this work off camera or on stream. And yeah, slowly but surely this wall's going to get built up around the Moleshire. I wanted to clear all of the forest up here on top of the Moleshire today too, but I think we've run out of time. Maybe we'll do that in the next episode. But yeah, guys, I guess that's going to do it for today. I hope you did enjoy the episode. And remember, if you want to help me out and write a list of all the open projects that we've got currently in the series, please do so in the comments below. And I'll give you guys a shout out in the next episode to whoever does it for me. That would be really fantastic. But that's going to do it for today's episode, guys. Thank you so much for watching. ReNDoG signing out from the Moleshire. I'm going to go chill under this mushroom for a little bit, I think. It's kind of nice down here. It's good for the skin, you know what I mean? Thanks for watching, guys. We'll smell you all in the next episode.